Yeah, so we have started the recording. Uh, so I will upload this recording once the session is over, okay, on YouTube, and we'll change the YouTube link. Oh, okay. So Mandipa, yeah, you can start now. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, hi everyone. So today's session, the aim is first we will discuss the graded assignment from week one, and then we will start with the week two content. We'll also take up the activity and practice questions from week two. Alright. So let's.
Yes, got it.
Okay. Let me share my screen, and we'll start solving the graded from week one.
Ma'am, so you're going to do graded assignment week one and practice assignment, ma'am?
Okay, okay, sure. Okay, is my screen visible?
But graded assignment submission is today, no?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So graded submission is not over yet for week one.
No.
Today is the last day.
Okay, then we'll do the practice.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually, I had a question.
Yes. Go on.
Ma'am, actually, the graded assignment of week one and question number five was a different question yesterday, and it suddenly changed today.
I think we should already discuss that issue before starting
What,
the
ma'am?
session. I think that issue was already discussed before starting the session. You can,
Ma'am, what was the solution? Can you please tell me? I was not in the session.
just submit the assignment as it is. Okay, like whatever you are getting as that question, just submit, and we will upload the
Like,
marks accordingly.
submit the answers which were of the previous question or the new
Yeah, if
question.
your question is not correctly configured, then the marks will be assigned accordingly. Okay, don't worry. Just submit whatever you've got on your portal.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so this is the practice assignment for week one, right? So any particular questions that you guys have problem in, or do I start from the first one? Okay, so we'll start from question one. Okay. So here, what is given that what will be the question is what will be the values of A, B, and C after execution of the following procedure from scores dataset. So I hope all of you have the common data, right? This is the scores dataset. One second. So this is your scores data set, right? It is nothing. It's just these are card numbers are given. These are the following fields of the data set: card number, name, gender, date of birth, city, town, and marks of three subjects and the total, right? So based on this data set, we'll be solving this problem. So let's first read what is the pseudocode, right? So what is step one? Arrange all the cards in a single pile called pile one. So how many cards do we have in our data set? We have 30 cards, right?
30 cards, ma'am.
So we will take all of them into one pile. Then what do we do in next step? Maintain three variables a, b, and c and initialize them to 0. So a equals to 0, b equals to 0, c equals to 0. Okay. Next pile 1. If pile 1 is empty, then we will stop the iteration. So this is where your main iteration starts from step 3, right? So here we will check every time that whether I have more cards left in my pile or not. So first time when I check, obviously I will have cards in my pile, right? I have 30 cards. So first time pile 1 would not be empty. So we will pick one card. So read the top card in pile 1 in step 4. Next step 5 is if date of birth is less than 1st May, then increment A. Uh, yeah. Yes, Fawad.
Ma'am, in this session, you will discuss the practice assignment question.
Yeah, yeah, because graded deadline is not over yet.
Ma'am,
Many
if
people
there is
say
no
start
doubt in
from week.
practice assignment, then should we attend this class?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Many people say
Ma'am, if
start
I
from week
don't have
two,
any doubt in
as I
practice
have already
assignment, then
Wait,
should
wait,
I?
wait. 1 second. Okay, your voices are overlapping. Sonam, can you say what you're saying?
yeah. You can start from week two, as I have already discussed
So practice is
practice
discussed.
assignment.
Okay, so I'll start from week 2
Yeah,
only.
yeah. Start from week two.
Okay. 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 Thanks.
Ma'am, can I ask now?
Yeah.
Ma'am, if I have completed the practice assignment and there is no doubt in the practice assignment, then should I do this session?
Yeah, because since practice was discussed last session, so I will be taking week 2 now. We'll start with week 2 content. So if you want to stay for week 2 content, you can.
Ma'am, I have also completed the week 2 practice assignment.
All right. If you think it is important, you can stay. Otherwise, you can leave. It's your choice. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So let's start with week 2. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a doubt in a practice assignment week 1.
Okay. Which one? Which question?
Number 11. Question number 11.
11. This one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What's your doubt?
I am not understand this question.
So here we have 3 variables, right? A, B, and C. These are distinct integers given as input. And what will X represent at the end of flowchart? That is your question. So first, say A,
Yes.
B, and C are 3 different integers. Okay. For example, you can
Okay.
take 4, 5, 6. Okay. They are distinct, not like any of them cannot be equal to another one. Okay.
Okay.
So take for example 4, 5, 6. So A is 4,
Okay.
B is 5, C is 6. So we start.
Okay.
So first, what do we compare? Is A greater than B? So is 4 greater than 5? No, right?
No.
So you go to right hand side here. Next,
Okay.
this decision box. Is C greater than B?
Yes.
So C is 6. 6 is greater than 5? Yes.
Yes.
So X's value is assigned as B,
B.
right?
Yes.
Wait. Am I audible? I can't hear anything.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
So this is how you have to go through this whole flowchart, right? So you can
Hmm.
take an example and find out what this is doing. Can you do it now?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so we'll start with me giving you a little bit of an overview on week 2. All right. So
Yeah, ma'am.
first let us discuss what is an iteration. So an iteration is nothing, it's just repeating the same process again and again. Okay. Like those card problems. No, what were we doing? We have a pile of cards, and every time we are iterating, like every new iteration, we're taking a new card and working on it, right? So in this case, let us take an example. Say I have a bucket and I have red and blue balls in them, right? So my goal is to count the number of red balls and the number of blue balls in that bucket. So what will I do? First, what I can do is I can take 2 variables, say count 1, which I assign 0, and count 2, which is also 0. So what will I do? First, I will pick one ball from this bucket, irrespective of the color. I don't know what the color is, right? Then what do I have to do? I have to check. So this will be my conditional statement, right? So I can check either if it is red or if it is blue. So one conditional statement will be enough. So I can write if, this is just an example, okay? If ball color is equal to red, that is, if my ball is red, then I will increment count 1, that is count 1 equals to count 1 plus 1. And if it is not red, then what will do? Just in the else block, you write, we will increment count 2's value. So count 2 equals to count 2 plus 1. So what are we doing? We first pick one ball from this bucket. Then we check whether that ball is red. Now you can also change this condition to check whether this ball is blue, because if it is red, then we increase count 1. So count 1 is storing what? The number of red balls in my bucket. And if it is not red, then I go to my else block here and I increment the value of count 2. And count 2 is checking what? Number of blue balls in the bucket. Similarly, you can also change this condition to blue. So we can just check blue ball first. And similarly, just change this count 2. Then count 2 will be counting the number of red balls. Okay, so every time we pick a ball from this bucket, that is your beginning of a new iteration. All right. So for C, check this example here. So it is given, there is no such meaning to this code. Okay, first let me just tell you the parts of this code, like what each line represents. So A equals to true, right? So A is some variable and I am assigning it the value true, the Boolean value true. All right. Next, what am I doing? While pile 1 has more cards and A. What does this mean? While pile 1 has more cards, this is what I just told you, right? So we will continue picking cards from my pile until no more card is left. So while pile 1 has more cards and A means A's value has to be true. So both of these conditions have to be true. Only then our iteration will start, right? So what are the conditions? One is my pile must have more cards left in it. At least one card has to be left in my pile. And A's value has to be true, since we are using an AND keyword here. So AND keyword means both conditions have to be satisfied, not either or. Both have to be satisfied. So A has to be true as well. Only then we will enter this loop, this while loop. Okay. So what is in the body of the loop? Read card X. So say the top card that is present in your pile is X. We are naming it X. Okay. So we will read that card. Now if x.city is equal to Chennai, that is the city mentioned in that card, if it is equal to Chennai, we will assign false value to A. You don't have to make sense of this code. Okay, this is just treated as a dummy code. All right. So if x.city is Chennai, then A, we will assign the value false and we'll get out of this if block, right? If block starts here, ends here. We are still in the while loop. And what do? Move card X to pile 2. So we have two separate piles. All right. Pile 1 has all my cards and pile 2 is initially empty. So once I read a card and I perform whatever operations I need to perform on it, I will move that card to pile 2, which means what? That card has been read. Okay. So any problem in this code snippet? Just this much? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. So after this is done, what will I do? I'll again go back to this line. I won't start here, right? This line has been done. Every time I iterate, I will start with the while condition. So I will again check if my pile has more cards. So say if the first city, right, the first card that I picked, that card had its city Chennai. So next time when I go to iterate, will I be able to enter the body of the loop?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, right? Because A has been set to false. So this condition won't be satisfied. And if any of the conditions are not satisfied in this while block, then I cannot enter the body of the loop, right? But if it is not Chennai, then again I will pick one more card and I will do the same thing until no more cards are left or I find a card that has city Chennai. Clear?
First card, we have find the Chennai. Is that right, ma'am?
If you find city as Chennai in your first card only, then I cannot again enter the body of the loop, because next time I check the condition, A is false.
Okay.
Okay.
If assigning value is Chennai, then A change to true to false.
Yes. So as soon as you find a city, as soon as you find a card that has city Chennai, the next iteration you cannot enter the body of the loop. Or one more thing is, if say none of your cards have city as Chennai, so when will this loop stop? When pile 1 has no more cards left, right?
And then
Yes, ma'am. Then end the pseudo.
Yeah, so this is one condition and this is one condition. You have to check both and both have to be true. Since
Yes.
we are using AND. Now if I used an OR operator here, then any of the conditions had to be true and I could enter the body of the loop. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So, and A means A should be true, right?
See, first we are
Is
initializing A to
variable.
true. When we first started the program, right? Here in line 1, I am initializing A to true.
Yeah.
But this won't be repeated every iteration, right? This is just an initialization. Here we start the while loop. So
Mhm.
once
Yes, ma'am.
I've entered the while loop, I'll just
Ma'am,
execute the body. Yeah.
Ma'am,
if
this is
A is a
condition.
false, then you not enter the loop.
Yeah. If
No,
A is
no, no.
false, you cannot enter, right?
Yeah.
Your while
Yes.
condition is false, then how will you
This
enter?
condition is fulfill. When A
Both the
is false,
condition
means
have to
condition
be
fulfill.
fulfilled. Yeah.
Fulfill.
So what are the two conditions here? See, number one is file one
Has more card. Have more card, and then with A
should have
some variable.
at least one card left, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes.
that is your first condition. And your
Yeah.
second condition is A has to be true. Because I'm using AND operator, so both have to be satisfied, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I am not understand second condition.
See, A's value I'm initializing as true here, right? In the first line. Clear?
Okay.
Okay. Next line, when I go to the while loop and I check the conditions, does pile 1 has more cards? Yes. If it is my first
Yes.
iteration, obviously it has some cards left. So, yeah, this is satisfied. Next, and A. And A means A's value has to be true here. Alright.
Okay.
Only then I
Now,
will enter
pile
the
one.
body of the loop.
Pile 1 has more card. With that, variable A is true. If not true, then not go into the count
Yeah.
iteration.
Okay. Okay. Both condition are true. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both have to be satisfied because we're using
Yes.
AND operator. AND means both have to be satisfied. What is the
Yes,
truth table
ma'am.
for AND? Do you know?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
See, A, B. If there are two
Yes.
variables and I want to do
If
If considered both
A
or
and
If both
considered only
conditions are
one.
satisfied, then we will take.
see, I will write the truth table. See, A and B are my two variables and I am performing AND operation. Here. So what will be my truth table? 0, 0 will give me 0. Okay, 0, 1 will give me again 0. 1, 0 will give me 0. Only 1, 1 will give me 1. Which means
Yeah.
if both are true,
Yes.
only then my result is true. Okay. So if both conditions are
Ma'am.
true, only then I will get
Operator,
it.
we have.
ma'am.
One by one, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Go on.
Ma'am,
Who's speaking? Yeah.
but in our operator, when both situation get false, then only we get false. Otherwise, they will be true, right, ma'am?
Yeah. For OR operator, if both are not satisfied, only then you cannot enter the loop. In OR, if any one of the conditions are satisfied, then you can carry on.
Yes, ma'am. But I'm asking the condition. If are having the both.
Yeah, that is
false
what I'm saying.
false,
In your
Okay.
condition, if you have OR operator there, then if any of the conditions are satisfied, you can enter the loop. But if both are not satisfied, you cannot.
Okay.
In AND, both have to be satisfied.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
if and replaced by or, then one condition is true, then enter the loop.
Yes. Then you can enter.
Or means only one
Yes.
variable.
OR's truth table is just like this. Here we did A and
Anyone
B,
true
right? If
is
this side I
given
write,
to.
look at this. If I write A or B, okay. Like here I wrote A and B's truth table. So if you have A or B, then what happens? So for 0,
Or
0
means
it is
only
0.
A or
All
only
others
B.
will be 1. Okay.
Yeah.
So if both are not satisfied, only then you cannot enter the loop. Otherwise, every other case you can. Clear now?
I have a question here. Can I ask if it's okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So, like for me, this and like this part, I would like to ask you, like request you to explain a little bit.
Sure.
So, if in case instead of initializing A is equal to true, if we had written A is equal to false,
Then you would
or-
never be able to get inside this loop.
okay, like even at the initializing thing.
Yeah, even if the initializing in this first line, if I write A equals to false, then I will never be able to enter the loop because every time I check the while condition, this will be false.
Oh,
Right? This value will
okay.
never get updated.
And if we say like A is equal to 0, like we do when we are doing counts and all of that, then we
See,
cannot.
when we
It
check
is
for
not a
conditions,
numerical variable. It is
yeah,
categorical
you cannot do
variable.
that. It has to be it has to have some Boolean value, right? True or false.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
clear?
Okay.
Just carry on.
Okay, so I hope this part is clear for everybody.
Yes, ma'am. After this, I have one activity question now.
Okay, sure.
Doubt in activity question now.
Yeah, let me first go through the
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
theory
ma'am.
part for this week,
Yes,
then we
ma'am.
will
Yes, ma'am.
discuss activity. All
Okay.
right. Okay, let me do this flow chart for finding max of math marks. Okay, because we have flowchart questions, let us get comfortable with that concept. So in this flowchart, what is happening? This is my first, like this is this type of block, right? You see it is rectangular, but it is sort of oval shaped, right? It means it is
Yes, ma'am.
starting or ending, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And this type of square boxes like initialize, this one means we are performing some activity in here. Okay.
I think terminal.
Yeah, I will give all the technical names also later on. I'm just telling you because
Oh,
we are starting this flowchart right now. So this is your activity box. Okay, here we can initialize or change, like update some variable. And this type of boxes, diamond shaped, what do we do here? These are decision boxes. Okay,
yes, ma'am.
here we decide something like if conditions.
Yes, ma'am. Which
So
path go?
yeah, so there can only be two paths, yes or no, right? So here, what are we trying to achieve? A flowchart for max of math marks. So among all my data set, I want to find the maximum mathematics marks. So this flowchart will do that. So this is just a skeleton of that flowchart. Okay. So in this first block, what we are doing, starting the flowchart. Next, we are initializing some variable in this box. Next, here we are checking, are there more cards in pile 1? Just like that last code snippet, right? We are checking, does pile 1 have any more cards left? If yes, then only I will continue down this route. Otherwise, if no more cards are left, I have to terminate my program, right? If no more cards are left, nothing to check. That means all cards have
Yes,
been checked.
yes, ma'am.
So, if so, when I pick the first card, right? So then I will go down this path. Yes. So more cards are left in pile 1. Yes. So I will pick the top card. Pick a card X from pile 1. That will be my
Yes, ma'am.
first card. And I will move that card to pile 2 once I've read it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Once I've read that, I am moving that card to pile 2, which means that, yeah, that card has been read.
Visit it. Ma'am, visit
Yeah.
the garden.
Yeah. Then what do I do here in diamond box? I will check some condition, right? I want to find the maximum marks in mathematics. So I will have some condition to check that, like the card that I picked, whatever mathematics marks is in there, is that the max marks? Like among all of the cards that I've visited till now, is that the maximum marks for mathematics in that card? So I will check that using some condition and I'll put that condition in this diamond box, right? If that condition is
Ma'am, in this
satisfied,
condition, mhm.
yeah, I will give you
Ma'am,
the
in
whole
this
condition and
condition,
everything.
oh, okay.
Okay, just hold on. I'm just trying to give you the idea of how flowcharts work. So here I will check that condition. And if that condition is satisfied, right, then I will do something. And if it is not satisfied, I will again do something in this box. But in after both cases, like after yes and after no, after I've executed this block and this block, both will go back to here only. Like after that iteration is finished, we will go back to checking whether there are more cards left in pile 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Sujal, what's your question? You want to say something? Okay, I guess they're having some issues. So I'll continue. All right. Okay. See, here in this box, what we are doing? We are initializing max to 0. So we will have some variable max. So in that code snippet, we had a variable a which we initialized to true, right? Just like that, in this flowchart also. So this is basically what a pseudocode can also be written in the form of a flowchart. So that is what we are doing here. So here also we will have some variable called max. In max, what we will do, we will store the maximum mathematics marks that we are trying to find. So first I will initialize it to 0. So max equal to 0. That this job of initializing max I will do in this block. Clear? So I've started and I've initialized. Next step. Again here, see, here next we will find if, see, max equal to 0 is given now. Okay, I have now changed this initialize block to max equal to 0. Next step is to find if there are more cards in pile 1. I haven't yet touched my pile. I will now pick one card. So what is my agenda? I have to check if math marks of card X is greater than max. If so, I will update max. So see, this is very simple. Okay, I have first assigned 0 to max. Now I will pick one card. I'll take all doubts. Okay, let me first finish this. So I have first assigned max to 0. Now I'm picking one card from my pile. Now say that card is called X, card X. So once I've read that card, I'm moving it to pile 2. Now what do I have to check for? I have to check that the card that I've picked, it has some mathematics marks since it is in scores dataset. You remember scores dataset, right? It has marks of students for maths, physics, chemistry and total marks. So it has some mathematics marks. So my job is to check that this card, whatever maths marks is there, is that mark greater than the value that is stored in max at this point? So when I pick the first card, what is the value that is stored in max at that point? Tell me. Anyone?
0.
0, right? Since I've initialized it and I haven't updated it yet. So max has 0. So say if some student has scored say 60 marks in maths. All right. So I have picked card X and card X mathematics marks is 60. So will I update max or no?
Yes,
Yes.
update.
Right?
Because 0
So
is
this is
less
my
than
condition.
60.
Yes. So this is my condition. Card X greater than max. This should basically be written as card X dot maths
Yes, ma'am.
greater than max. Right? So mathematics value in card X is greater than max. So what we will do, we will update max equal to card
60.
X dot max. Whatever value is stored in this card.
Yeah,
All
yes,
right.
generally.
So we will assign max that value. So this decision of checking whether the card that I have picked, the math marks in that card, if that is greater than the value that is stored in my max variable at this point, this decision we will take in this diamond box. All right. This is the condition we are checking. So if it is greater, only then we update max. Otherwise, we do nothing. Okay. See how it works. So we have done up to this. Pick a card X from pile 1. After reading, move X to pile 2. Now this block is empty here. We will put this condition. See, card X dot maths greater than max. Okay, card X dot maths greater than max. Clear? So first card comes, max is initialized to 0. If first card X dot maths value is 60, for example, so 60 is greater than 0, right? So my condition is yes. So I will go down this path, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So what will happen then? See, in this block I will do max equal to card X dot maths.
Yes, ma'am.
So in max variable, now I'm storing the recent value of the card that I have read, right? Because we know it's greater than the previous value of max and we are trying to find maximum. So this is how we keep updating this max variable every time we encounter a value that is greater than the current value stored in max. All right. So what will happen? See, max variable value is the max maths marks. Okay. See, say I have 5 cards. All right. I'm just taking a small set here. Say first person has scored 60 in maths. So, all right, these are just math scores. First person has scored 60, second has scored 45, third has scored 89, fourth has scored 74, and fifth person is genius. He has scored 100. All right. So now, say these are the only 5 cards I have. So this is my data set for now. Just assume. Now I'm starting my flowchart. So I've started. I have assigned max to 0. Now I have put all of these cards, all these 5 cards in pile
Excuse
1.
me, ma'am.
Yeah.
So sorry, ma'am. I joined the class late. Can you repeat? What did you study?
I haven't done much. I'm just teaching you how to find the max marks of mathematics using flowchart, right?
Okay, ma'am.
See, flowchart for max maths marks. And all I have taught before that is your week 2 summary that is you have on the portal. All right. Just this part I've
Yes,
explained
ma'am.
this code. Okay, if you can go through this, this lecture will be uploaded anyway. You can go through this code, and if you have any issue, I can explain it again.
No, ma'am, it's okay.
Okay, great. Right. So in my pile 1, I have put all these 5 cards. All right. And for now, let's say pile 2 is empty. Pile 2 has nothing. All right. So what will I do? Start. I've assigned max to 0. I'm checking, do I have more cards in pile 1? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I have lots of cards. So this is the first card I will read. Number 1. Pick a card X from pile 1. So now this card is my X.
Yes, ma'am.
I have read the value of maths from this card now. After that, I'll move
Yes,
X to
ma'am.
pile 2. Yeah. So I have read and I will move this to pile 2. So now pile 2 will also have 1 card. Right? Move means
Right,
this will
ma'am.
be erased from here. From pile 1, it is gone. It is now in pile 2. But I have read the value stored in it. Now I will compare. Does card X dot maths have marks that is greater than whatever value is stored in variable max right now? So I can see that this card had value 60, right? We had read that.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Yeah.
ma'am, that move X to pile 2 should be on the last slide after the max.
It is all right. Like once you have read, once you have read that value, it is fine. You can move that card. Because you're remembering that value. That value is stored somewhere. Okay. So
Okay.
this variable card X dot maths, here we are storing that max value. Whatever value you just read, that is stored here, card X dot maths. Okay, so you can move it once you have read. Okay, so I know that the value is 60. And I know 60 greater than 0. All right. So which path will I take? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
one. Okay. So I will update max variable. Max will be what now? Now max had
60.
0 at first. Now max has 60. Good. So is my program end? Does it end here? Is it done?
No, no.
I'll have more iterations, right? So I will follow this path. This path I will now follow, and I will follow, and I will again check here this diamond box. More cards in pile 1. Do I have more cards? Yes, I still have 4 more cards, right? 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm checking the second card. Okay, now this is my X. Okay, can everyone please mute themselves?
Hello, ma'am.
Kamini Sagar, please mute.
Please mute yourself if you don't have anything to say.
Sagar, please mute yourself.
Did anyone have Kamini's number?
Sagar, please mute yourself. Hello, ma'am. You are not audible.
I think she is disconnected right now. Okay, tell me one thing. Right? Is that week 2 session 2.1 covered from this part?
Yes, I think
No,
yes.
no.
It is the complete
It's
summary of week 2.
Because I have a doubt in a not true option. That
Hello?
question not true.
After summary, you can ask from the
Yes,
instructor.
ma'am is rejoined, please.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my internet connection. How far did you were you able to follow? One second, I'll share my screen. Tell me how far did you follow. So did you follow that I picked the second card from my pile now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have read second card. Okay. And now I have moved that to pile 2. So pile 2 now has 2 cards. All right. And pile 1 only has 3 more cards left. So next I will take this decision box, right? I will check whether card x.maths, that is whatever mathematics value is stored in my current card, if it is greater than the value that is currently stored in max variable. So max currently has value 60. And currently I have read the value 45 in my current card. So is 45 greater than 60? Which path do
No,
I take?
ma'am.
Yes or no? No, right?
No.
So do I
No.
update max variable? Do I need to?
No, no.
Ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
Right. So what will I do? I'll just go and do the third iteration now.
Yes.
So third iteration, I will now again check if more cards are left in pile 1. Yes, I still have 3 more cards. So now I'll pick 89. I have picked this third card. I have read that the student has scored 89 in maths. Okay. So once I've read it, this is now my X card, right? Once I've read it, I can discard it and move it to pile 2. Again, we will do the same thing. So tell me, is 89 greater than
Yes,
60?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Max still has
Yes.
60, right? Since I didn't update it. So 89 is greater than 60. So I will take this path, right? Yes, true. And I will again update max.
+1.
So what will be the value that will be stored in max at this point?
89.
89. Correct. I will again now do what? Fourth iteration. Yes, Ayush. You're saying something?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm just responding the answer.
Okay, okay. Kalyani, you want to say something?
I just want to ask another question in practice assignment.
Okay, practice we will
After-
discuss. Okay, you mean
yeah.
week 2 practice or week
Yes,
1?
ma'am. Week 2 practice assignment.
Okay, we'll discuss that. Okay, let me complete the theory first. Okay. So now it is the fourth iteration, right? So this is now my X card. And I will read this. So I've read the value 74 is there. 74 is the maths mark scored by the student. And I'm removing it and moving it to pile 2. Okay. So now I'm again checking this diamond box, right? So cardx.maths is greater than max. So max now has what? 89. And my current value is 74. So is 74 greater than
No,
89?
no. No, ma'am.
So I will do nothing. I won't update max. I will just move to the next
Yes.
iteration.
Next card.
Yeah. So now this is my next card. I will check more cards in pile 1. Yes, just one more card is left.
Yes.
So now this is my X card. I have read it. It's 100, right? And then I will remove it and move it to pile 2. So now again check this condition. Cardx.maths is greater than max. So is
Yes,
100
definitely.
greater than 89? Obviously it is greater. So I will go to this
yeah.
path and update max variable. So max now has value what? 100?
100.
Everyone agrees?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, great. So
Ma'am.
next, yeah.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. My activity question is suddenly changed.
Activity question is changed.
Ma'am. First, my activity question is different, and now is different.
Okay, see.
Yeah, it is happened. When you click more than 2 times, no, then it will change.
Okay.
Okay.
So activity questions also for week 2 we will discuss. All right, don't worry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. So now max has been updated to 100, right? Next, we will go for one more iteration because I haven't stopped my loop yet, right? So I will again try for one more iteration. And I will check more cards in pile 1. Do I have any more cards left in pile 1? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
No.
I have read
No,
everything.
ma'am. Iteration will be stopped.
Yeah, so we will take this path. No. And end. So is this flowchart clear to everybody? How I found
Yes,
math?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Math-
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, great. See, now we will just do one more variation of this, all right? And here now our agenda is we will find the max marks of mathematics and we will also keep track of the card which has the max marks. So card has some ID, some sequence number, right? What
Yeah.
was our data set? Check the data set. Here. There is some card number, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So I want to keep track of that also. Once I find my mathematics marks, I want to know which card number is that, which person scored that. So it's just a little variation of that only. See. So this was my previous flowchart, right? What modifications will I keep now? Here. So initially what we were doing in the last flowchart, we just had one variable max and we were assigning it the value 0 before starting the iterations. Now since I have to keep track of one more thing, which is what? The card ID. So I will have one more variable here called max card ID. Alright, and I will initialize it to -1. Why -1?
Okay. Because a card number is 0 included.
Yeah, right? Because one card has ID 0. So I am taking -1. Okay. So that is one of the modifications. Now something else also has to be changed, right? Like where is this getting updated, this max card value? It has to be updated somewhere. Let's see. Max card ID we can update as along with here, this one. See. So here we have started. Max has been assigned the value 0. Max card ID has been assigned the value -1. Everything else is same until we reach this block. That is until we reach a point where max's value need to be updated. Okay. So when we update the value of max variable, we also have to update the value of max card ID. All right. So max card ID will then contain what? The card ID of the current card that I'm reading. Right?
Yes.
So in my previous example, I had 5 cards. 60,
45,
89,
89,
74
74
and 100.
and 100.
Yeah. So consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as my card IDs. All right. So when I first started, this was my 1 was my card ID. So max was 0, right? So in first iteration, max got updated to 60. Everyone remember? So when
Yes.
max got updated to 60, yeah, then max card ID also has to be updated to the current card ID. All right. So max card ID will now have
Updated with current card ID. Yes,
So
understand.
current card is 1. So I will update it to 1. Now for the second
1.
iteration, I did not update max, right? Because 45 is less than 60. So in that
And
case,
60.
you also don't have to update this variable, max card ID. So that will
Okay.
remain 1.
Huh.
Next third iteration, I had 89. So then I again updated the value of max. So here I updated max to 89 in third iteration, right? So at that
Right,
point, I
ma'am.
again have to update the value of max
Update
card ID.
the max card ID. Okay.
Yeah. So max card ID will be what now? 3.
2.
3, right? 2 was 45.
Ma'am,
I did
Sorry,
not
3,
update.
3, ma'am.
Yeah.
3.
So 3.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tell me.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Here, max card ID is equal to 1 in a flowchart. -1. Why?
Because see the data set. Here's the common
It can
data
be
set.
0.
See, already we have one card that has card ID 0. So we cannot start with that. We don't know that that is the card we will encounter first, right?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. I understand.
Yeah. So we are starting with -1 because that is the idea of no card.
And if in the flowchart if the card ID is started with 1, then we can choose 0.
You will
in
never
flowchart?
start max card ID with 1 or any sequence number that can be a card ID. Okay. You will start it with some number that cannot be any card's ID because we haven't started looking through our cards yet. So we cannot assign max card ID to some card sequence number. We cannot do that. All right. That is why I've picked -1 because no card will have ID in negative, right? That is why we have put -1. And once we encounter some card which will force us to update the value of max, only then we will update the value of max card ID to that card's card ID.
Understand, ma'am.
Okay, great. So in third iteration, we updated max to 89. So max card ID will be updated to 3 as well. Again, number 4 in fourth iteration. Did we update max? No, because 74 is less than 89. We are trying to find maximum. So max is not updated, so is max card ID. That is also not updated. Now last iteration. So here 100. 100 is greater than 89. So I have updated max to 100 in my fifth iteration, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And max card ID also has to be updated now to what? 5, right? That is whatever is the ID of this card. So is in this way we can easily keep track of what is the card ID of the person who has scored the max marks in maths. Clear for everyone?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Clear.
Okay, great. So next, one more thing we will encounter. So what can be one problem in this approach? There can be more than one students, right, who can score that 100 marks. So in that case, what will be the card ID that I will store?
Both.
See here. What I am going to do, what if there are more than one cards with the same max? Only the first one is retained. In this process, what will happen if we don't change anything and just keep doing this process? So after that fifth card, right, say there was some sixth card where also I had 100. That is, some student had also scored 100 again. But here what happens? Max, will it get updated? Max is already 100. So 100 greater than 100 is false condition, right?
False condition, yes, ma'am.
So that will not get updated.
Greater than or equal to.
So what will happen? Yeah, we don't have that equal to here, right? We only have greater than. So that is false condition. So I will just move on to the next iteration, but that is not right. This person also scored the maximum mark. So I also want to keep track of her card ID. So what will I do? Solution is we will keep a list of IDs in max card ID. Instead of just storing one ID, we will keep a list of IDs. That is, every person that has scored that maximum marks, we will include them. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is the solution. Now one
Can
more
you repeat
thing
one more time?
is,
Ma'am, please
yeah.
can you repeat one more time?
Yeah, I will repeat. See. In the previous approach, in this approach, max card ID was only storing the card ID of that one person, the first person that has scored the maximum marks, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So 100 is my maximum marks, right? Nobody can score greater than 100. But
Yes,
it can happen that one or more students can score that 100 mark. Okay.
Yeah.
So in that case, what do I want? In that case, in this approach, max card ID will only store the ID of the first person that has scored 100, whose card we have encountered, and not the other people whose card might be behind, like lower down in the pile.
Yes, ma'am.
So we want to fix that. We want everyone's IDs who have scored max mark. So what we are doing, the solution is, in max card ID, instead of storing just one ID, we will keep a track of a list of IDs. That is, list of all those IDs who have scored max marks in maths. Every student that has scored 100 in maths. Okay.
Got it.
So how am I going to do that? See, someone was saying that greater than equal to. See, that is what we are implementing here. So first I have started. Okay. Max 0, max card ID minus 1. Wait, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So max card ID minus 1. I will check this more cards in pile 1 condition. If it is yes, true, I will pick one card from pile 1. If it is not, so no cards are present in pile, I have gone through all the cards, I will end the program. But let's consider this is my first iteration. So I obviously have some cards in my pile. So I am going to pick one card, card X. Read that card, move it to pile 2, and perform this whole thing that I was doing. So here what I was doing, I was seeing if that card that I just picked, this X card, that student's mathematics marks, if it is greater than whatever value is stored in my max variable at this point. So max has value 0. So if that person has scored greater than 0, I will update the value of max, right? And update max card ID with that person's card ID, this X card's card ID, right? This is what I was doing. So in my fifth iteration, I had someone who had scored 100. So in that case, what happened? Max became max equal to 100 and max card ID became what? 5. Now, if I had one more card having ID 6 who had also scored 100. So in my next iteration, I will encounter this card, right? This is say one more card I have after 5.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I come to check this condition, I reach this decision box. Is 100 greater than 100? Which
No.
path will I take? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Equal
No.
to.
No.
So I will come to this decision box. Now I have put one more decision box here. Now what do? I check is card x dot maths, that is whatever card I'm encountering, that student's mathematics marks, is that equal to the current max variable marks? Like whatever value
Yes.
stored in max, is that equal to this person's marks? If it is true,
Yes.
okay, if it is true, then I will do something here. Now what is that something? Let's see. If it is true, then I will append card x dot id to max card id. Append means what? If we are creating a list, append means just add one more item to that list. All right. So in my list, at first now, like till now, until I encountered this person with card id 6 and maths marks 100, in my list, max card id, consider it as a list for now. In my list, I had only one id, that is 6. I'm sorry, 5. Right? Because 5 came first with marks 100. I only have 5 in my list at this point. But once I encounter this card and both of these decision boxes I check that yes, this person has also scored 100. So 100 equal to 100. So I will go to this branch. Yes. And append card ID to max card ID. So now my max card ID list will have both 5 and 6. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, madam. Only card IDs will be stored in the
Yeah, only
max
card
ID,
ID.
or the count means if we want to.
You can
have
just
the
count the
count
length
of
of this list,
Oh.
right? So in max card ID, we are only storing the distinct card IDs that have scored the maximum marks. That's it. It is now a list. So if it is true, you will append and you will again move on to the next iteration. Okay, I hope this is clear to everybody. Any doubts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Clear, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. Great. Okay. See, max card ID contains list of all the card indices with max marks in mathematics. All right. Now let us check this thing. This is how you write flowcharts. All right. So what are flowcharts? They're basically just pictorial representation of computational processes, right? So in this flowchart, tell me, can anyone tell me what is happening here? Just look at this flowchart and try guessing what is happening. So I am first starting here.
How many
Starting
count? How many card?
Number of elements stored in file 2.
No.
Huh.
Counting
Yes,
the
ma'am.
cards in
Number of cards.
It is the total number that I have present in file 1.
Yes, ma'am. It will
Yes, ma'am.
the number of elements.
I have counted this decision box. I do have more cards in pile 1 and I will take this yes branch. I will pick one card from pile 1 and move it to pile 2 and I will increment the count. So count becomes count plus 1. And I will again go to the next iteration. So when will this iteration come to an end? Like every time I go to this yes branch after this decision box, that is I do have more cards left in my pile 1, I will keep incrementing count by 1. Okay, so when I encountered this decision box and I see that no more cards are left in pile 1, only then I will end, right? End execution of this flowchart. So at that time, count will have what? Count will have the total number of cards that were present, right?
In pile 1.
That is what this flowchart is doing. Yeah. Now we will understand that there are some different node types, right? So these are process nodes. Nodes are what? Every block you encounter, these are all nodes, right? Every block you encounter. So there are different types of nodes. One is the process nodes. So this is your process node. Okay, count equal to 0. Pick a card X from pile 1. Move X to pile 2. Increment count. So what? Wherever we are initializing or updating the value of some variable or moving one card from one pile to another pile, wherever some activity is being performed, some process is being performed, is your process node, right? So these are your process nodes. In this flowchart, how many process nodes do you have?
4.
4.
Correct. Next is decision. Decision is when I ask some question. So, like some if condition. Like, are there more cards in pile 1? I am asking a question. Yes or no? So, this is a decision I am taking. So, how many decision boxes do I have in my flowchart?
1.
1.
One? Just this one? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next is terminal. Terminal nodes are the oval nodes. Alright. So terminal is whenever we start execution or end execution. So typically, how many terminal nodes will you have in a simple flowchart?
2, ma'am.
2.
One to start it, one to end it. So I have
Two,
4
two,
process nodes.
Yes, ma'am.
In this flowchart, I have 4 process nodes, 1 decision node, and 2 terminal nodes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Is it possible to decrease the count of a process?
Yeah, sure. If you can optimize the code, if you can perform more processes in one block, then you
How
can
could
decrease.
how could ma'am please do
In
in this
exactly in
flowchart?
this code, no, in this code we cannot. Of course, you have to go through all of these, right? You have to pick a
Oh.
card, you have to move it to pile 2. In this code, it is not possible to optimize it further. But there can be other lengthier codes, more complex ones, where we can obviously minimize the complexity. Okay. So
Thank you.
how can we minimize the number of process blocks? That is, if we can optimize the code further, that is, do more work in less number of blocks. That is how you can minimize process blocks. In this code, it's not possible. Okay. So what do arrows indicate? Operation flow, very simple. Down arrow means start to down, means this node I will encounter. Again, this down arrow means this node. This arrow means I will go to end. This arrow means I will go downwards and just encounter more and more blocks. So arrows indicate operation flow or execution flow. Okay. So what are the pros and cons of flowcharts? So one advantage is that you all can agree, I think, it is a visual representation of computation and it is very easy to understand, right? Because see, if in this case, in place of this flowchart, if I just wrote this whole code to count the number of cards in pile 1, if I just gave you a bunch of code, it will be way harder for you to understand what that code is doing instead of this. So when you look at a pictorial representation, everything is very systematic. You can see what is happening in each block. But in a code, line by line, understanding the operation flow is much difficult. Okay.
Yes,
So
I
pictorial
agree.
representations are always easy to understand. So that is why every time a person starts their first steps in programming, they start with pseudocode and flowcharts. We don't first write programs. We learn how to write flowcharts. Once you understand the flow of execution, you can easily write programs on your own. Alright?
Okay, ma'am.
So this is your advantage. What is disadvantage? Disadvantage is this is a very simple program. Okay. Even finding that mathematics marks was a very simple program. But in real life, we encounter much more complex programs, right? We don't just calculate these childish things. We calculate huge amount of values. All right. We can say be updating 5-6 variables at once and in each iteration. So in that case, what happens? Flowcharts become huge and very, very hard to manage. So you will have like hundreds of process blocks. So in that case, this becomes a disadvantage. So as the size of your program grows, using a flowchart becomes harder and harder. Okay. Because complex processes will generate large flowcharts. Yes. Someone's raising their hand. Yeah, what do you want to say? When will I take doubts from week 1? Week 1 graded is not submitted yet. So if you have doubts from practice assignment, I can take.
Ma'am, in graded assignment, I have doubt in question number 1.
Graded we will discuss in next session, all right? Because you will submit graded today. Tomorrow session we can discuss.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, I have
Yeah.
a problem in understanding the question, ma'am.
yes, ma'am. The problem is that if there is two condition, like one is greater than 250 and the second condition is something is greater than
Yeah, is your
less
your
than
issue
250.
is where yeah, your issue is that why that where that equal to 250 will go.
Yes,
That is
yes,
your
yes,
issue.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So this is a very simple. Acha, you tell me one thing, since many students ask this. Let me
Don't
ask you
include
something. If I say my condition is I'm checking, I have some decision box and I'm checking if x is greater than 250.
Yes, ma'am.
And then I have one more decision box, all right, where I'm checking x is less than
Yes, ma'am.
250. So
Yes, ma'am.
what are the possibilities? Either it is greater than 250, I will go to yes, or it is
Yes.
less than 250.
Yes.
So either it is less than 250 or greater than 250. So do I
Yes.
even have any condition where I am seeing or checking if it is equal to 250? If it is not given in your pseudocode, that means you do not have to check it.
Okay, okay. Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
that's
Ignore
done.
those. All right.
Okay.
Whatever is your
Yes.
condition, you just check that much. You don't have to think about all the possibilities.
I also have in this question, we have to count 250 in another pair greater than 250, not in the less than
Ma'am,
250.
We have to just ignore
ma'am,
it.
Yeah.
ma'am, I have a doubt in activity 1.2, week 2, first question.
Yeah. I will. Can you please wait a little? Let's just finish the theory and I will take up all your activity questions. All right. From week 2.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And I hope that greater than less than 250 thing is clear now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's clear now. Like we
Just
just
read your
ignored it.
pseudocode.
Ma'am, can
Yeah,
you
just read
repeat
your
the
pseudocode what is
greater
given.
than 250
Yeah.
activity?
So they are asking that since these are the conditions given in that question, if it is greater than 250, we are checking basically whether it is greater than 250 or less than 250 or in between. But nowhere we have given the condition that what happens if it is equal to 250. So that means what? You do not have to check for that. Ignore that condition. You just pick those cards that are greater than 250 or less than 250 or in between. Right? Like I don't exactly remember what the question was, but there were some two ranges given, two values, and you have to check the cards that are in between that range. So when all you have to do is go through the pseudocode, see what the conditions they are asking you to check. Do not think of all the possibilities that are there. All right. Just check the conditions that we want you to check. That's it. If equal to is not given anywhere, you don't check it. Simple.
Okay.
So what is one more thing is disadvantage of flowchart is collaboration. Like if more than one people are working on a flowchart, it can get difficult because in flowchart, if one person makes a change in some variable or changes some process block, it can be difficult. So these are some of the disadvantages and advantages. All right. Now see. Now I will tell you how. Now see, once you see this side by side, these two things are doing the exact same thing. Okay, this flowchart and this pseudocode, they are doing the exact same thing. But which one is easier to understand at one look? The flowchart, right? But this,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yeah,
Ma'am, I have a doubt in week 1 practice assignment 11 chart flow.
okay.
I can't understand.
Okay, I will take that out. All right. Once I'm done with the theory, I will first take your week 1 practice assignment out. Then I will go to week 2 activity and practice questions. All right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, what are you saying? Okay. So obviously flowchart is the one that is easier to understand. But we also have to be comfortable with pseudocodes, right? So step 0, let's understand this. How this is the exact same thing as this. So step 0 is start. And this is my terminal block that I start with, start. Step 1 is initialize count to 0. And this is my process block in the flowchart where I initialize count to 0. Exact same thing is happening. See. Step 2, check cards in pile 1. Check cards mean, do I have more cards in pile 1? That exact thing is happening in this decision box. Right? Now, if no more cards, go to step 8, which is what? This. That is the answer of this decision box. If it is no, that is no more cards are left. We go end the process. And here we say if no more cards, go to step 8. So what is step 8? End. Exactly the same thing. But if there are more cards, then we go to step 4, right? So pick a card X from pile 1. Here also in this process block, pick a card X from pile 1. Increment count. All right. So here we do
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Move X to pile 2 and increment count. So we have moved X to pile 2 and incremented. Hello.
Ma'am, your
Yes,
voice
ma'am.
is breaking, so we will miss the most of the part. Please repeat it again.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my internet is a little bit disturbing today, so if my voice gets cut off, please let me know. All right.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm just telling you, I'm
Okay,
just
ma'am.
giving you an overview of how pseudocode and flowcharts are just the same thing. See, these two things are doing just the exact same thing, counting the number of cards. Right? So here step 0 I started. Here also I started in this terminal block. Then initialize count to 0. Here also I initialize count to 0. Audible, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, step 2, what am I doing? Checking cards in pile 1. Checking cards in pile 1 means what? Do I have more cards left in pile 1 or not? So that is what I'm doing in this decision box. Are there more cards in pile 1? Now I have two ways to go from here. Either I don't have any more cards left, in which case I end the program. So that is what is given in step 3. If no more cards, go to step 8. Step 8 is what? End. Same thing is happening here. But one more way is I have more cards in pile 1. In this case, I go to this yes branch and pick a card X from pile 1. Right? So here also see step 4, pick a card X from pile 1. And step 5 is move X to pile 2. Similarly, we're doing that in this process block. Increment count. Here also we are incrementing count. And then go back to step 2. So here this thing, this arrow that I put here, this operation is being done by step 7. Go back to step 2. Step 2 is what? Again, check cards in pile 1. See, pseudocodes are also just as easy. You just have to get comfortable with the notations. Right? Because not all the time we can write flowcharts. So I hope this is clear to everybody, this pseudocode as well as the flowchart.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. These are just the same thing only. What I need to discuss is yeah. So what is conditional execution and what is repeated execution? So see this conditional execution in that pseudocode is step 3 and step 4. Step 3 had what? If no more cards, go to step 8. So basically in my decision box, I check the condition, right? So whenever I encounter an if statement in my pseudocode, whenever I am having this if keyword in my pseudocode, it means I have a decision box in my flowchart correspondingly, right? Whenever I have a decision box, I have to pick one branch, either yes or no, right? So if no more cards, go to step 8. So which is that? This branch. So this is your conditional execution. So what does this mean? The flow of operation will depend on the condition. Whatever is the condition, depending on that, the operation will flow. Execution will flow. Right? That is your conditional execution. If no cards, end the program. If more cards are present, yes, pick one card from pile 1. This is conditional execution. And what is repeated execution? The whole iteration that is going on. So check cards in pile 1. That is step 2 to go back to step 2. So whenever we do this arrow that goes back and rewinds, this is repeated execution. So this part will keep on repeating until I reach the end. That is until there are no more cards left in pile 1. So this part is called repeated execution, the thing that we repeat again and again. And conditional is where the operation flow depends on the condition. So clear what is conditional execution, what is repeated execution?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great.
Hello.
Now see. Yeah.
Ma'am, in conditional execution, if is added, it means it is conditional execution.
Yes. If means condition, right?
Okay.
If means we are checking something. Yeah.
And step 4 is the activity or process.
And like as programming in if then else.
Yeah, exactly. That if else block, that is your decision.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what were you saying, that other person? That step 4 is a
Ma'am,
process
step
block, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, step
How
4
it
is a
is the
process block.
condition.
See, what I'm saying is step 3 is your decision block, right? So it depends on what happens in step 3, what decision you take. Based on that, you go to the next block. Either you end it or you go to step 4. So if no more cards, go to step 8, which means you go to this block, end block. But if that is not the case, you go to step 4, that is pick a card X from pile 1, that is this block. But whether you choose this block or this block, that depends on what is the result of your condition. That is, if more cards are left in pile 1 or not. So that is why this is conditional execution. So here the operation flow will depend on the result of your condition. Clear?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay, so next is, now if I want to write this in the form of a program, right? This is not even a real program, it's just pseudocode. See. So first I have start. Then I am initializing count to 0. Now this thing we are doing, this more cards in pile 1, checking yes or no, then move, pick card from pile 1, move to pile 2, increment, and again do the same thing. This whole thing, this whole repeated execution, I can put in a while loop. So whenever something is being repeating, okay, whenever something is being repeated, that is, I have one or like 2 or more iterations of the same thing. What do? I put it in a loop, right? So this is your while loop. This is where the concept of while loop comes from. So instead of just doing the same thing, like we were
Ma'am,
taking, yeah.
while loop like as a for loop, I
Yeah,
think.
see, there are different types of loops, right? For while, do while, lots of types of loops are there. In this example, I'm just using a while loop.
Okay. But what is the difference between for and while, you can say?
Yeah, it is syntactically different. Okay. In while loop, you just have the condition here, and then in the body of the loop, you do the incrementing and everything. But in case of a for loop, all of it is done in one statement only. The increment
Okay.
and everything. Okay, checking the condition, initializing, increment, everything happens in one statement. And then you have the
Okay,
body.
ma'am.
That is the difference. Yeah. So in while loop, here, just this repeated execution part we put in while. So while pile 1 has more cards. So every time I am starting the iteration, I will check if pile 1 has more cards. It is just the same example that I took in the beginning of the class, right? Where A equals to true, and then we were checking the condition. If pile 1 has more cards and A, remember that same thing. So while pile 1 has more cards, I will execute this body. That is, pick a card X from pile 1, move X to pile 2 after reading that, and increment count. So these 3 things that were happening here, pick a card X, move X to pile 2, increment count, that I'm performing within the body of the while loop, and then I'm just closing it, right? So this thing will iterate. This whatever is inside this body, this will be executed every time I enter the while loop. So if my data set has 30 cards, if pile 1 has 30 cards, how many iterations will I get?
30.
30 iterations, just till I have no more cards left. So once I encounter the last card, yeah. So while loop, I ask that how many iterations will be there. So how many times will I actually encounter the while statement? Tell me. I'm not asking how many times the body of the loop will be executed. How many times will I encounter the while statement? 30 or 31?
29.
31.
31.
31.
31.
29 also. Let me explain them. So, whoever said, listen, I have 30 cards. All right. Now, for each card, I am checking while pile 1 has more cards, while pile 1 has more cards. When will this condition? So, after I have say I have only one more card left. All right, I have done checked for 29 cards. Everything is done. I have one more card left. So now I check while pile 1 has more cards. Yes, I have one more card left. So I will iterate and execute the body of the loop, right? Now, when I've ended the body of the loop, I will again go back to the while statement because I don't know whether my loop has ended or not yet, right? What was the condition to end the loop? More cards in pile 1. See here, decision box. More cards in pile 1? No. Only then I'm ending. So I haven't encountered this no yet because I haven't checked one more time. So again, I have to go and check the while loop. Even after all 30 cards are done, I will again go and check, does pile 1 have more cards? Then it will say no. And I will end. So I will not execute this body of the loop again and I will just jump to this statement, end. So how many times did I totally encounter the while statement? 31 times? 30 times for 30 cards
31.
and one extra time? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. 31 times.
Okay. Clear for everyone now?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, it's clear.
Yeah. Go on. What are you saying?
Programming count variable is an integer.
Yeah. In this case, it is integer. So when you write an
Okay,
actual
ma'am.
program, no, then you will
Ma'am?
initialize count to its data type, integer, whatever it is.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, what is the difference between algorithm and pseudocode?
Yeah. So this comes every single time, right? So you tell me, what did you understand? What is pseudocode?
Pseudocode is real code.
Yeah. So algorithm is what? Algorithm is
general.
yeah. So
Algorithm is
basically,
a step-by-step
I'll tell you,
instruction.
and let me tell you, okay? So algorithm is nothing. It is a logical approach. Okay. It is also step by step, just like a pseudocode is. Okay. But it is more logical. But a pseudocode is a simpler version of your programming only. Like if I am writing a program in C programming language, then the pseudocode will be nothing but that code written in plain English.
But ma'am, in the assignment, they gave algorithms and they're saying they are pseudocodes. They are not like this code snippet.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, you are not audible. I think
Ma'am, you are
connection
not
loss.
Excuse me, ma'am. Hello.
Ma'am is leave the meeting.
Did you guys completed week 2 CT?
No,
No computer.
Not even
I am.
started.
I am not start.
Disha, are you there?
Still.
Okay, I'm sorry, I lost my connection again.
Okay, ma'am.
How long was I
Ma'am, your
audible?
internet connection is very bad.
Fog है ना?
Yeah, it is very bad today because I'm doing the session from home.
Okay,
Okay,
ma'am.
so what I was saying is that an algorithm is what? An algorithm is your
All
systematic
algorithm
and
is
logical
the
approach. It is also step by step, but it is
yes.
Now, ma'am,
yeah.
your screen is not
So from
visible.
algorithm and pseudocode, what happens? Pseudocode is just
Ma'am, you are not presenting your screen.
yeah. I haven't shared my screen yet.
Ma'am,
Yeah, I haven't. I will. Wait.
algorithm is the very complex program,
See,
and
whenever
pseudocode
I have
is
a
the
Okay, let me tell you first. Okay, there are some important differences. So whenever I have a programming code in C language, I can have two things from that. I can have an algorithm, I can have a pseudocode. So the algorithm will be more close to the actual program. Why? Because it is exactly that systematic logical approach that a program follows. I haven't shared yet. Let me first clear this. Okay.
Okay.
So it is a more well-defined step-by-step procedure. But what is a pseudocode? It is just explaining what that code is doing in simple English. Okay. So when we encounter an algorithm, there are certain things we can find out from it, like what is the timing complexity of that code, that is how much time that code will take to run. We can find the space complexity, how much storage that code will take to execute. These are the things we can find out from an algorithm. So this is where your difference between algorithm and pseudocode comes. Pseudocode is just easy to understand, written in English short phrases. All right.
Yes, ma'am. It is very easy.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'll present my
Ma'am,
screen.
algorithm in a binary number form.
Sorry?
Ma'am, algorithm in binary number form.
Binary number form means algorithm is not like that. Algorithm is for
It's a
any code we
machine
can have an
language.
algorithm. See, algorithms are like this thing that you're doing, na? This finding the max mathematics marks. So the procedure using which you are finding, there can be more than one procedure. All right, and all of those procedures are different algorithms. And
Okay,
each
okay,
one will
ma'am.
have some different time, some different
We can
step
say
complexity.
machine
Those are
language, ma'am.
algorithms. And when I write down those
Okay.
procedures in simple English, that is your pseudocode.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
think that is enough.
Ma'am, I have a doubt in activity
Not
2.1.
exactly machine language. Yeah, activity I
Ma'am, can we
said
think
machine
about
language.
algorithm as a recipe making process, like how recipe
Yeah,
has
exactly.
step-by-step
Exactly.
procedures to
Yeah.
get to a certain point?
Algorithm is more closer to your actual code. Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
I have a
activity
doubt.
questions I will take up. Okay, just let me finish. Just a little bit of theory is left. Let me finish. I will take up first practice questions doubt from week 1, and then we will do activity and practice from week 2. All right. Even if I can't get to
Ma'am.
practice questions of week 2 today, we will take it tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah.
Ma'am, in that
Go on.
case, the questions we encounter in assignments should be algorithms, not
No,
pseudocode.
these are your
They are
pseudocodes.
not like
See,
these code snippets.
they are
They are
not like
different.
this code snippet. They are exactly this code snippet. We just write step 0, step 1. That is why you don't see it happening like this. Okay.
If we
See, this thing
write
that
in a
you
stepwise
encountered.
manner, it should be algorithm, right?
Look, this thing.
Okay.
Okay, this is the thing you encounter, right? These are pseudocodes.
Okay.
See, whenever you encounter language like this, if no more cards go to step 8, increment count, these are simple English phrases. These are not used in algorithm. Like I said, if you had an algorithm, increment count, you will just write count equal to count plus 1. All right. So whenever you find
Okay.
simple English phrases, that is your pseudocode. And it will be mentioned in your question whether you are encountering a pseudocode or not. So do not worry about that. All right.
Okay, fine.
Okay, let's do this.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So one more thing, let's clear up. When I say count equal to 0, can anyone tell me what this means? What is count equal to 0?
We are initializing count to 0.
So is this the same as, like, can I say I want to check if the value of count is 0, so I'm writing count equal to 0. Is that the same thing?
No, it's
Ma'am, it's no,
assigning
ma'am.
the value. If we put
Then we
double
have
equal
to
to,
assign it minus.
then
Yeah.
we can say.
So when I have a single equal to, that means it is an assignment operator, right?
Ma'am, we are assigning the value of count.
Yeah, exactly. So single equal to means what? Assignment operator. Assignment. And double equal to means comparison.
Equal to
operator.
Yeah. So this is what you use to compare. Like if I write count equals to 0, so that there I am comparing is the value of count is equal to 0 or not. Okay. So I can have some if statement saying if count equals to 0, then I will just have some statements. I will execute these statements. So if the value of count is 0, only then I will execute this part, right? So this equal to
Yes.
is your comparison operator. Just remember the difference
Yes,
between
ma'am.
these two. Okay. So this assigns the value to a variable. Clear? Next, repeat steps while condition holds. So this while condition, what does it do? Here we check whether the condition is true or false. What is the condition? Does pile 1 have more cards? If that condition is satisfied, what we will do? Repeat these steps. That is, enter the body of the loop and pick one card, read it, move it to pile 2, increment count. Okay, this is your repeat execution.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Next is start and end of repeated block. Now marking this is very important. See, when you are writing a code, always make sure that the brackets that you're opening and closing, that is the start and end of each procedure, each loop, should be well defined, right? Don't just miss one bracket. It can like derange your entire code. Okay.
Ma'am, but in Python, I think this bracket is not present in Python language.
No, I'm talking about say basic C programming language, because most people start with C.
Okay.
So there you have to use these.
Okay.
So always make sure that, because you will encounter questions like this also, where everything will be given to you, but you can notice in those code snippets that we have made sure that the indentation is correct in every code. What is indentation? That is the correct way of writing code. Okay, so you cannot just write everything in one line. All right, so whenever we have some while block,
Ma'am, in C programming, semicolon is not considered.
semicolon is not considered in what? Like in a for loop, if you use semicolon, it won't be working. But semicolon is very necessary in C programming.
Ma'am, C++ consider a semicolon, but C, only C consider a semicolon.
In what context? That depends what context you're asking. Semicolon can be used in a lot of contexts. Like in the context of a for loop, semicolon means that loop is not being executed at all. It's a dead loop. But in case of C programming,
Okay, ma'am.
semicolon is needed in most lines of code. But that is not important here. What I'm saying is, in our course CT, you will be facing a lot of code snippets, right? And you can check there, just to be a good programmer yourself, you can check that all the while blocks, procedures, loops, if conditions, whatever blocks of code we have, the starting and ending of that block must be well defined. That is, if you open a bracket, you must close it before the end of the program in appropriate place, and indentation must be there. All right, that makes it a good program. Anyone can write a program, but to make it a good program, indentation, all these things have to be made sure. Your variable names should make sense. It should be in context of what the code you are writing.
What is indentation, ma'am?
Indentation is like, I will show you a code snippet and I'll show you what is indentation. Okay, just give me a few minutes. Let's first complete this. and I'll
Ma'am,
show
will
you.
we encounter these flowcharts in
Yeah,
qualifier?
you'll get
exam?
flowcharts, and yeah, you will.
Oh,
So this is done. Next, this is the last part of the theory. Yeah. So we learned each and every line of this code in detail. What is count, what is while, what is the body of the loop, start and end marks. Now this is our start and end statements, right? Terminals. Now these are not present in actual code. Okay, we do this in pseudocode to represent where your program is starting and where it is ending. So step 0 is always start and the last step is end.
And that means don't we have terminals in algorithm?
In algorithms you might have. I'm talking about actual code. Like when you are actually writing a program in some programming language, you don't write start before starting a program. That's it. There are notations in every language, syntaxes that you have to learn. So in case of pseudocode, you will always write start and end. Okay. So
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
now see, if I want to find the sum, okay, if I want to find the sum of math marks, so there, to find a sum, I obviously need some other variable, right? I need a variable where I will store the sum. So that variable, say I am taking it as sum. Sum is a variable where I will store the sum of math marks. So before I go into the loop and everything, before I pick up a card and start reading the maths marks, I will initialize sum to 0. That is, I haven't picked up any card, sum is currently 0. Next, let's see. So now my agenda is to find the sum of math marks of all cards. Clear? 30 cards, 30 students. I will add all of their mathematics marks. Okay. So first, this is start. What is this block called?
Terminal.
Next, sum equals to 0. What type of node is
Process.
this?
Process.
So I am assigning sum to 0. Okay. I am assigning the value 0 to the variable sum. Next, decision block. What am I checking?
Yes, sir.
Are there more cards in pile 1? Are there more
Checking the
cards?
condition.
Yes. So for the first iteration, I have 30 cards in my data set. So do I have more cards in pile 1? Yes, I do. So I will come to this process block, pick a card X from pile 1. I have read now the mathematics marks from that card. That is my relevant data, right? I am finding sum of math marks. So I will read the math mark from that card and move it to pile 2. Now this is one more block. So in the previous example, we were incrementing count in this block. But in this example, I don't want to find the number of cards. I want to find sum of math marks of all students. So in this process block, I will add X as math marks to sum. So sum variable I have already initialized to 0. So basically here, what happens? Sum equals to sum plus what? X card dot math. Make sense? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I will do this. Once I've added the maths marks, I can again go back and iterate one more time. How many times will I iterate? How many times will I actually execute all these 3 statements?
Till the
If I have 30 cards in my
condition
data
does
set.
not satisfy.
No, I'm asking if I have 30 cards in my data set, how many times will these 3 statements be executed?
30 times. 31 times.
30.
30.
It's 31 times. Did you understand? See, after I've encountered my last card, I have no more cards left in pile 1. But do I know that yet? I don't know, right? I have just been taking the cards blindly. Someone has been handing the cards to me. I don't know whether my pile is empty or not. So what I will do, I have to go back and ask again, are there any more cards in pile 1? And then the answer will be no. So before this question, I had already asked this question 30 times, right? When I encountered 30 cards.
Yes, ma'am.
So when I asked it one last
But
time,
ma'am,
yeah.
31 times.
it will not go in the pick a card from X from. It will go to decision. Na? It will ask it. It is there. Yes
Yeah,
or
so
not.
that
It
is what
is
I
not
said.
there.
Na. I was asking you that how many times these 3 blocks will be executed. This, and this. 30 times only.
Yeah. That upper the more that decision
Yeah.
card will
The
31.
decision block you will encounter 31 times.
Okay.
So that 31st time that you encounter it, you will go to this block end because no more cards are left. So every time I go to this process block, what happens? I update the value of sum. Now in this case, sum will be updated how many times?
Ma'am, hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, we already know that there are 30 cards. Then why we go for
No.
next?
Say you do not know there are 30 cards. You just have a pile with some cards in it. In this
Okay,
case, I have the data set. That is why I showed you that there are 30 cards. So that we can
Okay, ma'am.
ask like
Understand.
30 times or 31 times. That is it. You do not know. Okay. So tell me how many times does the value of sum get updated here in this code?
30 times.
30
30
times, right? It will have to because I need the sum of every student's marks and there are 30 students. Good. So update sum. Now this update statement that I just wrote, see, sum equals to sum plus x dot math. Please mute yourself. Okay. So update sum. First we have an assignment statement. Why assignment statement? Because this single equal to is present. Correct? Now sum on right is the current value. This is very important. Sum on right. This is left sum. This is right sum. Correct? So this sum, what does it have? The current value of sum. And sum on left, that is this sum. It is what? It will be the updated value of sum. But remember, this single equal to is not a mathematical equality. It is an assignment operator. That is, I am assigning a new value to the sum variable, which is nothing but the old value of sum variable plus the current mathematics marks of the card that I just read.
Ma'am, could you please explain with an example?
Yeah. Say sum was first 0. Okay. Now I have read this one card. Say this is my card X now. And here the student has scored 55 in maths. Okay. So my sum was 0. I first go to this decision block. More cards in pile 1. Say this is my first card I'm encountering. So yes, I have more cards. So I pick a card. This is the first card I picked. I read the value 55 and move X to pile 2. Okay. Now I come to this process block. So sum equals to sum plus maths. So now sum on the left hand side is the sum that will have the updated value. And this sum on the right hand side is the current value of sum. Current value of sum is what? 0. Right?
Yes, ma'am, understand.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
0 plus x dot maths. X dot maths is what? This 55 value I just read from my X card. So 0.55. So sum now has updated value 55. Now next iteration, I find some student with marks 90. So here I go, more cards in pile 1. Yes, I do have. So I come here, pick one card, say I pick this card. Now this is my X card. And I read the value 90 and I move it to pile 2. Now again, sum equals to sum plus maths. So now my left hand side sum is going to be the updated sum. But what is the value of my right hand side sum at this point? Tell me.
55.
55?
145.
55.
55. I'm asking about right hand side sum, not left hand side. Okay. Right hand side is 55.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Plus I will do x dot maths. That is 90. Current card's math value. 145.
145.
Now my left
Ma'am, sum
side,
on the right side.
sum on the right
Ma'am,
side
sum
is
on
the
the right
current
hand
value.
side is variable.
Sum on the right hand side is current. Both of these are varying. Okay. Sum on the right hand side is current value of sum.
Updated value.
Okay,
And sum
ma'am.
on the left hand side will be the updated value.
Updated value 140.
Yeah. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay, good. Next, wait. So in this case, we haven't used this count variable. You can do that also if you want to count the number of cards. You can just insert a count variable and increment it every time you encounter a card, right? So I can do one more block here. I can do one more process block and there I can write count, just increment count I can write. So this will do what? So if I do this, what more changes do I have to make? Tell me, you tell me. If I want to also count the number of cards that are there. So I have introduced one more process block where I will keep incrementing count. But what are the other things that I need to do? I already showed you this.
Initialize the count.
Initialize the count variable.
Very good. So I will initialize count with what? Assign what value?
0.
Minus
Not minus 1. Not minus 1. I am counting. Okay. Whenever you are counting, you always start with 0.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Do I start count just if I ask you to count to 10, you will start with 1, right? So here I haven't yet encountered a single card. So I cannot say 1. 1 means I have already encountered one card. So I will initialize it to 0. Then once I go to this decision box and then go to the process block and pick a card, then I can increment count. So after all this, I have incremented count. What is one more thing that is missing? Can I just leave it like this?
Count is equal to.
See, then this arrow will be changed, right? If this happens after, so after incrementing, here I will again iterate, right?
Ma'am, can we use an AND operator in the same block?
Yeah,
Sum
sure you
plus
can.
is equal to x dot maths and AND operator both.
Yeah, it is possible. I am just
Madam.
taking one more block to make it look clearer. That's it. You can do both in same block. It's fine.
Okay, and can we put another block after sum is equal to 0 and equating sum and count?
Why would you want to equate sum and count?
because both are equal to 0.
Yeah,
Instead
but
of using assignment operator after
so
sum is
you are
equal
saying
to
sum
0.
equals to 0, I can just write count equal to sum, right?
Yeah, after sum is equal to 0.
Yeah, so that is also okay, right? Like in this context, since nothing is getting updated at that point, so you can do that, but this is a better practice to just separately initialize them. Okay. So even when you write code in real time, you'll see that even if variables have the same value, they are initialized separately. That is just good programming practice. That's it. Okay. So next is, so at the end of execution, right? At the end of execution, sum will have what?
All mathematics marks.
Summation of math marks of all students, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now say I want to introduce one more condition. I want to find just the sum of boys' maths marks. I want to
Yes,
find the
ma'am. We are
sum of
using
maths
filter.
marks. Yeah, we are using filters now. Just like when you say go to some e-commerce shopping website, Amazon. Okay, you can put filters. Like first you say I want to buy a pair of headphones. They show you all the headphones. Then you can put a filter. I want to buy it in the range of 1,000 to 2,000 rupees. Okay, then it only shows you headphones in that price range. So similarly, first what I did, I just found out the sum of math marks of every student. Now I'm putting a filter. I only want to know the sum of boys' math marks. Okay. So what will be the code now? Let's see. Here. So everything remains same till here. First I start, initialize sum to 0. I see if there are more cards in pile 1. If yes, that is true, operation flow is here. So this process block, I pick the card, I read it, I move it to pile 2. Now, next what we are doing, we were previously we were just incrementing the value of sum, right? With the current math marks. But now my filter is I need boys only. Only boy, only then I will update the sum. So if I get a card where the gender is male, so how do I check that? I have one more decision block here. So X is a boy. If X is the card, is X a boy? Yes. Only then sum equals to sum plus X dot maths. If X was a girl, I will take this path. That is no. So I will go iterate one more time. That is pick the next card and just discard this card. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Similarly, so what you will do? Say first card I picked was a boy who scored 50 marks. So now my sum has the value 50 after execution of this block, right? Now I go to the next card and I pick one more card. And I find that it is not a boy and they have scored 60. So will you do this? No. You will
No.
go here and just end this iteration right here and go to the next card.
Ma'am, excuse me. Hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, if you find the gender is male, but he got 48 marks, then we will update the sum or not?
Any marks. Boys math marks I just want. Even if he has got a 0, you will add it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So see, that can be one more filter. Now if I say I only want the sum of marks of boys who have got greater than 50. Then what we will do? You will first check if he's a boy, then you will check if his marks is greater than 50, then you will do the sum. But in this case, I don't have that filter. I'm just finding boys math marks summation.
Okay,
So I will
ma'am.
check if he's a boy, I will add his marks to the sum variable. Otherwise, I will just end the iteration right here, not update sum, and I will go to the next card.
Ma'am, is it possible to first find the boy and then find the maximum sum of boy? First,
Maximum
get,
sum?
Yeah, it's
first
possible.
in first decision box, we write X is a boy, and then we find all the cards of boy in one pile, and then we sum of boy
See,
card.
you just think of it in a real life way. Like if you have watched the lectures, you see how sir has found the cards, right? So if
Yeah,
you
I see.
if you want to first separate all of the cards that are boys, you still have to go through all the cards, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So there is no point in doing that. So you first separate and then again you go is to find the sum. You're just going through the cards twice, right?
Yes, sir.
So in that case, you just do this. Just pick a card, check if it is a boy. If it is so, update sum. If it is not, discard the card. Okay, just go through the pile once.
Okay.
So that's why I was saying that anyone can write code. A code can be written in 100, but it should be optimized, right? We want optimized solutions. The code that will run the fastest, and also that will be the most, what can I say, like surest way of getting the solution. You do not want to, like, if you can go a distance 5 kilometers, you do not want to fly 15 kilometers for traveling the same distance, right? Like that. So if it can be done in one iteration, you do it in one iteration. Okay. So if x is, now see how the code changes. Here, sum, first we initialize it to 0. While pile 1 has more cards, pick a card x. I'm still audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thanks. Okay, so first we initialize sum to 0. Now while pile 1 has more cards, pick a card x from pile 1, move x to pile 2. If x is a boy, so now this part comes in. See, decision box, conditional if statement. If x is a boy, then this is the if block. See, if block starts here, ends here. While loop starts here, ends here. Okay, now you see this is indentation. Someone was asking, no, see, this bracket closes to the right hand side of this bracket, right? The upper bracket closes to the right hand side of the lower bracket, right? So does this make this easier for you to see where if block is ending? Does it make it easier?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Instead, I could also write both of this like this. But then it won't be easier to understand where the if block ended. So that is why you need indentation in code. Okay. To see where your blocks are ending or beginning. That's it. So here we check if x is a boy, and if he is a boy, then only we perform this line. That is increment sum, update sum. Okay. Enough about this. So this is conditional execution. Of course, wherever we have a decision box, there is conditional execution. And wherever, see, here, this is conditional execution, but is it repeated execution? Tell me. X is a boy. Is it repeated execution? No, right?
Yeah.
It is
Ma'am,
not.
it is not repeated.
It is not repeated. We are just checking the condition once. But in this case, more cards in pile 1. Okay. This thing is your start of your iteration. So this whole block of code is repeated execution. But this individual decision box is conditional. Okay. So you are
Yes,
using
ma'am.
the entire block, not just this line. So that is why it is not repeated. It is conditional and
Yes,
the
ma'am.
block is repeated.
Ma'am, we check only once.
Yeah, we check only once for each iteration.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, see, we were doing what? In this case, we were writing if x is a boy. Now, let's write it in a more logical manner. How can we write? X dot gender equals to m. So now you understand where that comparison operator comes in. I told you, right? In conditional statements,
Yes,
we use
ma'am.
a comparison operator. So equal to. So x dot gender equals to male. Then you increment sum. Rest is just the same. Just this part, we are showing you what is equality and what is assignment. So this equal to is your equality operator. This you use to compare values. And single equal to you use to assign values. Okay. This is also the same thing only. Yeah. So this is just one more
Ma'am,
way of
ma'am,
writing.
could you please scroll up?
Do what? Scroll up.
Ma'am, could you please?
This.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What do you
Okay,
want?
okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I just take a screenshot.
Okay. I think you have all of this available on your portal as well. So. Okay. So now I have changed my agenda. Now I want to find sum of boys as well as girls marks in mathematics. Now this gets more interesting, right? So now I cannot just keep a sum variable. How many variables do I need now? Come on. someone
Excuse
answer.
me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is same as sum of
We need
mathematics marks of all students.
So I am asking that I want to find the sum of math marks of boys and I want to find the sum of math marks of girls separately. How many variables
two
do I need?
variable. Two variable.
Ma'am, there are two variables.
Right. Good. So one is boy sum and another I can write girl sum. Okay. Let's see the whole code together. Yeah.
Ma'am, someone mic is irritating.
Just mute yourselves, everybody, please. If you have any question, only then unmute. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, this is the full code. So ignore this part for now and let's just look at the flowchart. Okay, so first we're starting. Then here somebody was asking me now that since sum was 0, so can I just assign that? So here also boy sum is 0 and girl sum is also 0. But we do not assign boy sum to girl sum because that is not good programming practice. Okay, you initialize variables separately. So boy
Yes,
sum is
ma'am.
equal to 0 and in a separate process block I write girl sum is equal to 0. Okay, first I've initialized both sum to 0. Now I come to my repeated execution part, my first decision block. More cards in pile 1. So this is my first iteration. Of course, there are more cards. So yes, here, pick a card from pile 1, read it, move it to pile 2. Now it is your second decision block. Now is this conditional or repeated? Tell me. This decision block x gender equal to m, is it conditional execution or repeated execution?
Conditional.
Conditional, right?
Conditional.
Yes, because we are just checking this once in each iteration. So it is conditional. So is x gender, that is the card I picked, x card, the gender value in that card, is it equal to m? If so, if yes, then you add that mathematics marks to boy sum. So boy sum equal to boy sum plus x dot math. Say, for example, the first card I've encountered is that same guy with 50 marks. Some boy who scored 50 in math. So first, initially boy sum is 0. So now boy sum becomes 0 plus 50, that is 50. So boy sum's value is now updated to 50. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Girl sum is still 0 because I haven't yet encountered the card of a girl. So next, after this, I will go back to this second iteration. I will again pick a card. If more cards are left in my pile, I'll again pick a card. I'll read it. So when I'm reading this card, what are the things I'm reading? I'm reading the gender as well as the mathematics marks, right?
Yes.
I have to read both the information because I have filters present now. So I read that and I move it to pile 2. Next I check, is gender equal to m? Now if this is the card of a girl, it will be no. So it will move to this block. Say the girl scored 90. Okay. So girl sum equals to girl sum plus x dot math. So girl sum was 0. So now it becomes 0 plus 90, 90.
It's become 90.
Yeah. So at this point I have boy sum value 50, girl sum value 90. Do you understand? Now again I pick one more card. Next iteration. See, here also I have the control flow going in this direction only. Here only. Whichever block executes, this one or this one, I will go back to iterating after it is done executing. I will again go back to the repeated execution. This block. This condition block. So I will again pick a card, again check if it is male or female and just assign the marks accordingly, add the marks accordingly. Okay. So at the end of execution, I will have boy sum representing the sum of mathematics marks of all boys and girl sum representing the sum of mathematics marks of all girls. Now look at the code. First I have initialized boy sum 0, girl sum 0. While pile 1 has more cards, pick a card x from pile 1, move x to pile 2. If gender equals to m. Okay. So this is my first filter. If it is m, if this condition is true, see, this is equality operator, comparison. So if gender equals to m, means if x dot gender is m, then it will be m equals to m, which means true. Okay. Only then this line will be executed. Else, if it is not true, it will go to the else block and girl sum will be updated. Is this code clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. next say we want to find the maximum math marks. Now this thing we already did, I think. We already did that in that flow chart.
Yes, ma'am.
See, I will just teach you the code, okay? We already did this. So this was the code. We did the flow chart in the beginning. So I will have one variable max m. So max mathematics marks. So I have max m equal to 0. This I will initialize to 0. Then I have my while loop. Pile 1 has more cards. Pick a card x from pile 1, move it to pile 2. And next I will have this conditional statement, conditional block, where I will check if x dot maths is greater than max m. So if the first person that I encountered has scored a 0, what will happen?
Score is 0.
If the first person I encountered scored a 0 in math, what will happen?
Then also we have to add.
Will this condition
Updated value also 0 only.
Then also it will add to the
Nothing happened, ma'am.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
There-
This condition becomes false. So check the flow chart. Is maths, so is 0 greater than 0? No. So you will do what? Just go to the next iteration. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Remember, we are finding maximum marks now. We are not finding sum. So it will be updated only when the value changes. Max will be updated only when the value changes and is greater than the current value stored. Okay. I already told you what happens when same values come, how we can track the card using ID, everything, right?
Yes, ma'am. We know.
Yeah, so this is just the code representation of that. So if x dot maths is greater than max m, so add sum equals to sum plus x dot maths. Okay. One more thing is, okay, this I think you all can do. This is the same thing. Okay, this max card, I just want to keep track of the ID, so I'm keeping it as -1. And every time I encounter a card that has scored the maximum marks, I will also store the max card ID of that card, right? It's just the same thing. So go through these slides once yourself. Okay. And now, since not much
Why
time is
max
left,
card is equal to -1?
see,
It's
check your actual common data set. All right, here is your common data set for scores data. So you can see that card number starts from 0, right? So we cannot initialize a variable max card ID to an ID that is already present. Okay, since we haven't encountered any cards, we pick a number that cannot be the ID of any card. So we initialize it with that. Now, once we encounter a card, we can change the card ID to that card's ID. All right. Since -1 is not the card ID of any card, so we can initialize that using -1.
Okay.
All right. So now once I encounter a card, I can see that, say I encountered card with ID 5. And that has some, say 50 marks. So at first max m was 0. So 50 is greater than 0. So max m now has 50. And max card ID now has 5. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So see, I don't have much time left now, so let's take up at least a few questions from. First, tell me who has problem in week 1 practice assignment. Someone had problems in week 1 practice. Now is the time. Come on, fast. Okay, great. If no one has problem in week 1, we will go to activity questions week 2.
Ma'am, I have.
Ma'am, you already have done this
Practice assignment 11.
Sorry?
Practice assignment questions.
Practice assignment week 1, right?
Yes, 11 questions.
Yeah, tell me which one.
And last one.
Okay, wait. This.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what's happening here. So following flowchart is executed using shopping bills dataset. I hope everyone has the common data, right?
Yes, ma'am.
1 second. Here's shopping bills. My internet is really bad today. So these are all 1-1 cards. Okay, you can just open and check. I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay. So we first start. Then count is assigned the value 0. Now we check, are there more cards in pile 1? If yes, pick a card X from pile 1. Now in this block we check, is the shop name on that card Big Bazaar, and is the total bill amount less than 1000? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If yes, then we increment count. Otherwise, no.
No.
So which part are you having an issue in?
Ma'am, got it. Little
Got it
bit
now?
confused.
See, all you have to find is the value of count. So what do you have to check? Check how many cards are there that have the shop name as Big Bazaar as well as total bill is less than 1000. This is the main thing you have to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Just go through the data set and find out. Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
this
We
type
have done.
Yeah. So this type of question obviously won't get in your actual exams because you don't have the time to go through so much data, right?
Yeah, ma'am. Got it.
So whatever data related question will be,
Ma'am, in exam there will be data available.
yeah, everything will be available to you. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. Tejas, yeah. What's your question?
Ma'am, I had a question about graded assignment 2, 7th question. Could you please explain the question itself?
Question. I am not supposed to discuss graded at all right now. But if you can tell
Next
me the
session, ma'am.
question. Yeah,
Ma'am,
let's see tomorrow session. We can discuss graded. Okay.
ma'am, in practice assignment, question number 6, like I have problem with step 2. Like if we are going to initialize the variables,
Week 1?
ma'am, 6 to 7.
Yeah, week 1, right? This one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what is the question? The following pseudocode is executed on scores dataset. Great.
Yes.
What is your question?
Ma'am, question is that if we are going to initialize the variable A and B to 1000, so if we are going in step 5, it is given that mathematics marks is less than A.
Yeah.
Then it store mathematics marks in A.
Yes.
So the mathematics marks are given like 68, 62, 57. So 1000. So
you
all
don't
the-
understand why we take 1000, right? Why we initialize
Yes,
it with 1000.
Yes, ma'am.
See, very simple explanation is, what are we trying to find here? See, we are trying to check if mathematics marks is less than A. So we want A to be some value that cannot be achievable by students. Okay.
Okay.
That
Yes,
way
ma'am.
we can find, that way it is feasible to find some mathematics marks that is less than A. So if I put 100 and the first card I encountered is 100, then you won't be able to execute this line at all, right? So whenever we are checking for maximum or minimum, this type of questions, you will see that A and B are initialized to, like especially when we are checking for less than condition, you will see that A and B are initialized to certain values that are not achievable, so that we can start, like
Okay,
so that
ma'am.
the if statement can be true.
Yes, got it. But if we are in step 5, if we are going to store the mathematics marks in A, so for
Yeah.
a student,
So it now
student will-
updated, right? It now got updated. A is now updated. So what am
Okay.
I trying to do here?
Yes. So if the first student the maths marks is 68. So again we move read the top card in pile 1. Again the step repeat the step by step, incrementing the values of mathematics marks in the existing one.
Yeah.
So how the answer is 42? Like
Okay, let me see. So first A and B are initialized to 1000, right?
Yes,
I am
yes,
reading the
ma'am.
top card in pile 1. Now
Yes,
if
ma'am.
mathematics marks is less than A, store mathematics marks in A. So if
Yes.
we encounter some student, like you said, having mark 68. So
Yes.
68 is less than 1000. Therefore, I
Yes.
can enter the if block and I can store A's value, like I can assign A to 68, right?
68, yes.
Next, I check if physics marks is less than B. Both conditions you are checking. Now, B is
Yes.
also 1000. Say whatever physics marks, say he has got 47 in physics. So that is
Yes.
less than 1000. So now
Yes.
B's value is assigned 47.
47, yes.
And
Yes, ma'am.
move the current card to pile 2 and repeat from step 3. So this is doing basically what? What will this find?
We are find the minimum value.
Exactly.
Minimum value of
So minimum value of
A and B.
maths marks A will store, and minimum value of physics marks B will store. Now let us go to
Yes.
our common data set. Okay. Let's check the scores one. Okay. So this is our data. So let's find the minimum maths. 68, 62, we have
Okay, got
42.
it now, got it. Like we have to, yes.
Yeah, you have to refer the data set.
Yes, ma'am, I referred the data set. I was thinking that simply I have to add all the mathematics
No.
marks. So
Look.
I didn't get the question.
When
But
you,
I am clear now.
when you see
Yes.
this type of questions, no, first work out what they're trying to find. Do not go through what they're asking, value of a, value of b. First work out what they're trying to find, like what are the variables storing at the end of execution. If you find that out, you can answer any question. Okay, just try to find, like, if a and b, this type of variables are present, now just try to find out what we are trying to store in those variables.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Next one. Someone had activity question doubts also. No one?
No, ma'am.
Okay, good. I will ask you all to please solve all of the activity questions and practice questions, okay, before going for the graded. Solve them all. Go through the lecture,
Yes, ma'am. We are.
everything. Because this is your foundation to programming, all right? If your CT is strong, you can master any programming language. Okay, your logic should be strong. So go through all the assignment question and everything, and wherever you get stuck, we have sessions. Ask all the questions you need to ask, or else post them in discourse. Okay, we will definitely answer you within 1 or 2 days. Okay, 1 days max.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, a great session with you all. If you don't have any more questions, you can leave, and please join tomorrow's session as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good night, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, ma'am.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.